Hello, welcome to our RecapPlus channel with me, Matthew. Today we will watch a recap movie called Slightless, released in 2020. This is a spoiler content video. So please turn on the subtitle and let's start the story. The film opens with a young girl who is feeling depressed and alone. She contemplates jumping off her apartment balcony. The scene then shifts to a month earlier, focusing on the same young woman named Ellen. Ellen used to be a famous violinist. One night, she is brutally attacked in a car park by an unknown assailant wearing a gas mask, who sprays chemicals on her eyes. She is immediately rushed to a hospital and awakens on a hospital bed with both of her eyes covered in bandages. Soon, a nurse named Omar arrives to remove the bandages, revealing that she can't see anything. Shortly after, Dr. Katsuro enters her room and explains that the chemicals she was exposed to left her optic nerve intact but seared, meaning the damage is irreversible, and she is now completely blind. Ellen is distraught and reluctantly accepts her altered situation. Detective Bryce arrives and questions her about the incident. She provides him with the information she knows. Later, Ellen talks to her brother via video call, who informs her that he has arranged a hidden apartment for her near the city center and has hired a caretaker, Clayton, who specializes in assisting people adjusting to life with blindness. The next day, Ellen wakes up in her new apartment and meets Clayton. She has no memory of the trip home from the hospital, which Clayton attributes to the powerful drugs she is on. Clayton explains that he is a professional caretaker who will assist Ellen in her daily activities and help her transition to life as a blind person. He mentions his daily visits from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and describes the layout of the apartment to Ellen. After Clayton leaves, Ellen tries to call her friend Sasha and her brother, but neither of them answers her calls. She feels a profound sense of emptiness as she grapples with the absence of family and friends during this difficult period. The next day, Clayton surprises Ellen by bringing her a pet budgie in a cage. She asks him about its color, and Clayton describes it as baby blue. Ellen then notices something intriguing. When she stands next to one of her windows, she can hear the noise from the busy street below, but when she stands near another window, she can't hear anything. Clayton explains that the glass in that area is thicker, which muffles the sounds. As days go by, Ellen and Clayton form a close bond and talk about their lives. One night, Ellen hears a woman crying while being abused by someone. She initially believes the woman is in her apartment but soon realizes the crying sound is coming through the vent. The next day, Ellen decides to invite her neighbor for tea. She leaves a post-it note on the door of the apartment next door, and Lana Knox responds and joins her for tea that night. Lana behaves strangely, seemingly knowing a lot about Ellen despite their recent meeting. When Ellen touches Lana's face, she feels a fresh scar, which surprises Lana. Lana warns Ellen not to trust anyone and then rushes out of the apartment. Ellen becomes convinced that Lana's husband is abusing her. She contacts Detective Bryce and reports her concerns. Officer Neiman is sent to check on Lana, and he confirms that she is okay and that the scar is just a birthmark. The next morning, Ellen notices a peculiar occurrence. She tells Clayton that a car alarm goes off every other day at precisely 11 a.m., which coincides with his daily arrival. Clayton dismisses her concerns, attributing them to the bustling nature of a big city. Later that night, Ellen believes Lana has entered her apartment again, but when she touches her shoulder, it turns out to be Lana's abusive husband. He threatens her and warns her to stay away from his wife. Feeling threatened, Ellen immediately contacts Clayton to come over. Clayton arrives and comforts her, confessing that he has feelings for her. However, Ellen rejects his advances, stating that she needs a caretaker more than a boyfriend at the moment. Broken-hearted, Clayton leaves her apartment. Shortly after Clayton departs, Ellen is attacked again by the person wearing the gas mask. She manages to dial 911 before passing out, and the paramedics find no apparent injuries or needle marks on her neck. When Detective Bryce arrives, he informs her that the CCTV footage also shows no one entering the apartment after Clayton. After hearing this, Ellen becomes distressed, unable to trust her own perceptions. She feels isolated and believes that someone is after her. Ellen decides to end her own life, and that's when we jump back to the beginning of the movie. We watch as she writes a suicide note, climbs onto the balcony railing, and jumps off. However, instead of dying, Ellen falls just 6 feet and is unharmed. She quickly discovers that she's in a soundproofed room without a door, surrounded by speakers that play the sounds of a fictional city and a fictional high-rise. Ellen realizes that the apartment she was staying in was fake, and all the noises she heard outside were coming from a speaker system. When she hears the 11 a.m. car alarm, she climbs back into the apartment. After climbing back inside, Ellen explores the hallway but finds she cannot escape. She then knocks on Lana's door, and Lana tells her that this is her home, and there is no way to leave. Clayton arrives to cook Ellen's dinner, and during their meal, she hears Clayton knock on the table twice. Ellen recognizes this double-tap knock and realizes that everyone else she's interacted with since the attack has used the same knocking pattern. It's at this moment that she realizes everyone she's met since waking up in the hospital, including the nurse, the doctor, the police detective, the paramedic, and Lana's husband, were all Clayton in disguise. Realizing this truth, she pretends to drop her drink and strikes him on the head with a knife block. Ellen quickly takes his key and a taser, escaping down the hallway into the apartment next door. However, she discovers that it's actually a strange empty storage area where Clayton keeps all his costumes and everything else he needs to maintain this charade. Even more surprising, Ellen finds the outfit worn by her assailant, revealing that Clayton was the one who attacked her to make her blind and then took her directly to this fake apartment to keep her captive. She then finds Lana, who is actually real, in a hidden room. This room is the same fake hospital room she was brought to at the beginning of the film. Lana reveals that she is Clayton's sister and that she helped him kidnap Ellen. She then tells Ellen that their only hope of escape is by using the hidden vent in Clayton's room. As Ellen is trying to escape, Clayton catches up to her, knocks her out, and drags her into his room, the same room Lana had mentioned as containing the only way out through a vent in the wall. Ellen feels the air from the vent and realizes that she has another chance to escape. Clayton launches into a monologue, explaining his actions. When he was a child, his father locked him and his sister, Lana, in the basement, holding them captive for 3 years after their mother had died. The only way Clayton had survived was by creating imaginary characters in his head, giving them backstories, and pretending to be them. But what had truly saved him was the music that Lana played for them in the attic. The music he heard was Ellen's, who was a child prodigy violin player. He refers to her as his light in the dark, so now he wants to be the same for her. As he relays his story and motives, Ellen grabs a chance to incapacitate him with the taser and opens the vent. However, she discovers that it's too small for her to crawl through. Taped inside the vent, Ellen finds a small vial of the same substance that had blinded her. When Clayton comes around again, she sprays the substance in his eyes, effectively blinding him too. As Clayton writhes in pain, Lana arrives on the scene. Upon seeing Clayton disabled, she frees Ellen and sends her out into the real world. 6 months later, Ellen prepares to go on stage to the sound of an elated crowd, and that's how the movie ends. To watch more video like this, click on the videos on your screen, and don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. And at last I will say stay safe and stay healthy. See you next videos.